Welcome into the Runners Recap. As always, we have Coach Rod Barnes here to join us to talk about another week of CSU basketball and another week, Coach, of you guys staying perfect at home. It may have not been as easy as people would have hoped, but for sure you got those 2 wins. You guys are still perfect at home and looking good right there in the WAC standings, of course. But let's first talk about Kansas City. This one came down to the wire yet again. What were your thoughts from the sidelines watching this game unfold?
Well, I thought going into the game, I thought they were a really good team. And I knew there were some areas that could cause some problems. And I knew we had to play one of our better games just because sometimes you match up with teams better than other teams. And just the style in which they play, we've had probably 6 games that have gone down to the wire since both of us has been in league play and we've played each other. So, you kind of expect the game to be close, but it was a little bit closer than we would like. But, we came out with the win, so that's important. But just watching our team, I thought they really attacked us early. They were the more aggressive team. I thought our guys hung on, and then I thought, we just kind of started trading baskets and trading leads. So the great thing about it, when it was all said and done, we had the lead when it mostly counted.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a player that we will have to mention is the sophomore Jarkel Joyner. He not only had a tremendous overall game and a great second half performance, as you're going to see here with some of these plays. And of course, he had one of my favorite plays of the game, which was the steal and the slam. But then again, Coach, this kid, he came up when it was most important, down at the end, drawing that late foul and then hitting the line and not just making 1, 2, but 3 free throws to put you guys in the lead. What were your thoughts watching this? I know you probably believed in him all the way, but just what were your thoughts when you saw this play unfold at the end?
Well, I felt really good about it because, he only had to make 2, and he had 3 shots. And I didn't think he would miss 2 or 3, so I thought the least we're going to go into overtime. But I really had confidence that he would make all 3. He's been really working on his free throws, but he's not shooting them as well as he did last year. He was 5 or 86% last year, and this year I think he's about 65%. So I think for his players and coaches, obviously there was some concern there because he hadn't been shooting them well, but I just thought there's no way he's going to miss 2, but I kind of believed that he would make all 3 because he's a clutch player. He's played at a high school there that he was the leading scorer. He had the ball in his hands a lot, so I felt really good about our chances of winning.
And I mentioned that he just had an outstanding performance in the second half that obviously built your confidence there. Yeah. But again, I can't imagine because you miss the shot but get the foul. But then, those moments, there's nothing like shooting free throws when it's a dead silent, arena or wherever you are, it's completely silent and it's all on you. So what does that say too just about his poise and how do you teach that to someone, especially as young as Jarkel is?
I don't know if you can teach it. I think, there's things that you can do as far as playing it into the game during practices and putting guys at the line. But actually, with that many people in there, our fans did the right thing. They went silent so he could concentrate. But you got to think, even early in the game, even if we're shooting free throws, people are still cheering and yelling. But at this particular point, with just under a second left, everybody is quiet in there. And so that's a tough situation. But I think, again, when you've kind of grown up and he has been one of the better players on his team, one of the guys that they look forward to trying to finish games for them. I just obviously think he was nervous because he said he was, but I think he was confident. And again, I think some of the pressure was not quite as tough in a situation because you gotta, you make 2 out of 3, and I think we all thought, he would do that. But after shooting the first one and making, I think that's the toughest one because, again, you got now 1 to make 2, but he made all 3.
Yeah, no, that was incredible, and I can tell you my heart was pounding. I was just shooting those free throws, and my heart was pounding. I gotta ask you, where's your head and heart during those moments? I know you believe in your guy, but your heart, was it pounding too?
Not at all. Not at all. Once the whistle blew and the referee said it was 3 shots. I mean, basically I turned around and I mean, he looked at me and I said, hey, let's go home. Because our whole thing is always, you know, we talk about getting to the house. That's one of our sayings in the locker room. Getting to the house means, hey, we're going to work extremely hard. We're going to try to get a win. We get the win. Let's get to the house with the win. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll work on all the things that we didn't do well. So when he looked at me, I said, hey, let's go home. Let's get to the house, you know. And so, I mean, maybe if there was another player, I mean, I'm not sure. But just in that situation, I was just confident that the game was over. I didn't have any plans of going in overtime. I wasn't thinking about overtime. I said, he's got 3 shots for us to go home to win, and he's going to make them. And I thought, too, because he's been struggling again with this free throw shooting, I thought this time would make him concentrate like no other. And I just thought just the repetition. I think he had made like 100 free throws earlier that day, just working on his free throws, because, again, that's one area that he's not as good as he's been or as he was last year. So I thought, hey, man, great call, ref, and we're going home.
Yeah, the Kangaroos, they didn't feel the same way. On the other side, they were not happy by that call, but clean call, right. Clean shots at the line, and that's why you got to practice those free throws, because when it comes out of that moment, you just got to be locked in, and Jarkel was.
Right, he was.
And moving forward into the weekend, you guys were hosting Chicago State, and we talked about that the week prior, that this team has been kind of struggling to get a win, but they showed up at the Ricardo Center. So what can you say about that game, and what maybe some learning lessons down the road when it got a little too close there?
Right. Well, I think we started off, I think our players took that this was Chicago State, a team that we've, you know, pretty much have dominated over the last, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 years. I just think they had one year that they beat us, but you know, we've just played well against them, and I think our players, you know, they haven't won a conference game. I think they had won 3 or 4 games all year long, and we gave them confidence. You know, we came out, and I think 5 out of their first 6 baskets were layups, and after that they made a couple of open threes. We just were not like ourselves as far as being prepared and ready. And I told the players, half of that's my fault, and they're going to take responsibility for the other half, because it's my job to get them ready. It's their job to get ready, and we did not get off to a good start. After that, I mean, they're a good basketball team, and I told our players they had been leading a lot of teams. They've been playing a lot of teams well, but at the end, they faltered. So I tell them, don't look at, they got to be back 20. They got to be back 15. I didn't really realize I was prophesying to our team, because, you know, they led and we traded leads a few times, but they did a great job. Their composure were great. And then, you know, under 2 minutes ago, we started to pull away, but it was a tough game for us. One that I didn't expect quite to go that far. As I told our players, you know, I knew they were going to play well. I thought, because they were just coming from Grand Canyon, I thought they may get tired a little bit earlier, but we didn't do anything to make them have to catch us, play catch up. So they were fresh, and then finally, I think our depth paid off for us.
No doubt. And again, you guys, you're sitting comfy in the WAC standings there.
I don't know about comfy, but
I would say you feel good at the beginning of the week, right? And then it starts getting back to business as you get inched towards the next game.
That's true.
And the next game, Cal Baptist on the road. When you look at this game, I know, what are your thoughts? Are you at all considering the standings right now, or are you just another game, get it done?
I mean, obviously you look, just because, you know, one of our goals this season was to win the regular season, but you don't get too caught up in it. And I'm trying to keep our players really focused, because if we continue to get better, then again, we'll give ourselves a chance to win it. Also, we'll give ourselves a chance when we get to Vegas to maybe earn an NCAA berth. But right now, it's just too early. We got too far to go. We got too many games to play in. But, you know, it's always good to win, and I keep telling them we've got to learn in the midst of winning, because you don't want to lose and learn. because it messes up where you are in the standing. So I like our team. I think, again, obviously I'm concerned because I didn't think we were focused the way we needed to be against Chicago State. I just think UMKC is a good team. So it ended up being really 2 good wins for us.
And when you look at getting focused against CBU and maybe getting that refocus on the road, as we were always talking about, road wins are important. What have you learned about the CBU team this year that you know you're going to have to focus in on to get that win on the road?
They got really 2 good guards, and they're really well coached. You know, they do a great job of doing what they do. You know, they're a good offensive team. Defensive, they make you earn your points. And you know, I haven't been in their place, but I heard it's really, really a good place to play in. They have a nice facility and really active crowd. I don't know if their students will be back or not, but I'm sure if they are, that there'll be a factor there. And again, any time you go on the road, it's always going to be tough. And you know, we've learned how to win on the road, and we've learned how to play on the road, and we're going to have to use that this week. We have 1 game this week, so we'll just be focusing on them all week, and we'll get down there, and Thursday, hopefully we can bring a win back to Bakersfield.
Yeah, and thinking about that, still kind of early in conference play, but to get a little bit of a break this week with just 1 game, do you feel like this is a good refresher week for you guys heading into the next week there?
It is, because I think, you know, just all of the things that come with the winning, all the things that's come with, you know, conference play. The first weekend was really difficult. It was really physical. It was, you know, you got the top teams in Seattle and Utah Valley who were picked before ahead of us. And then we go on the road and we play in a tough Rio Grande Valley, which was tough travel for us. But we play in a place that, you know, it's always tough for us to win there. And then we go to New Mexico State. So, you know, when we got back home this week and had really 2, you know, tough games mentally. They weren't as tough physically, and the travel wasn't there. So I think our team, because of our youth and our inexperience of being in this situation, I think we do need a break. But, you know, hopefully we'll take care of business on Thursday and, you know, have a few days, as you said, the weekend off to kind of refresh and reset and get ready to go.
And what do you hope for this team? Again, we talk about the youthfulness and a little bit of inexperience there. Is this where you wanted to be, or what do you want to see after this week of play and you kind of get an idea of where you guys are at this point in the season? Right. Where did you expect your team to be, and where would you want them to be?
Well, probably, you know, just for as a win-loss, we're probably a little bit farther than I thought we would be. You know, obviously go into the season and go into conference play, as I tell them, and you know, we weren't picked number 1 in the country. We weren't picked number 1 in the league. So we're going to have to work our way into up the standings and work our way through wins. And we've been able to do that. We've won a lot of close games here lately. But some of it is because, you know, just our understanding of where we are. I like our team. As I continue to say that, I like the chemistry of our team. Again, I'm always concerned about an inexperienced or a young team because there's always opportunities to let down. You know, I thought somewhat in the Chicago State game there was a letdown in the beginning of the game, and I don't want to take anything from Chicago State, but at the beginning of the game, I just didn't think we'd come out the way we're normally coming out. So you want to stop that. You want it to end and, you know, go into Thursday game and kind of get back to where you were from start to finish. But, you know, our record is good. I mean, obviously, you know, to be 5-1 at this point, having played New Mexico State a really good game, we're probably a little bit ahead of the curve as far as wins and losses. I would like to be a little further along as far as our execution of what we're doing.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Sounds about good. And it sounds about time for the breakdown with Barnes.
Oh, wow.
We don't have to do as many questions as always. I'll make it a little easier on you during this week. But
yes, we got 1 game, so there should be 1 question.
Good thought process. Well, I am going to make it a little. I should give you more questions since the week is but I won't do that to you. All right, Coach. So watching Jarkel Joiner knock down and nail those shots from the free throw line, for you as a player, where would you rather be in a situation down at the end of the game, shooting your free throws from the line or having to hit a game time buzzer from maybe, let's say, behind the arc like he attempted to before that? Where would you have rather been as a player in those moments?
Oh, at the free throw line.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, and again, I'm probably dating myself. When I started playing, that's all we worked on a lot. We worked on our shooting, we worked on our free throws, we worked on our ball handling, fundamental passing. And so I was always confident that I could make free throws, but this is because I worked on it all the time. So, and then I always joke our guys, it's the one place I think you can really, really be selfish. It's the one place that they don't have to pass you the ball, there's no defense there, that you can go up there and say, these points here are mine. And it's not gonna affect anyone else in the outcome. You didn't set a screen for me, you didn't do anything. So I can be kind of selfish, but it's just one of those things. I think a lot of times the difference in the game, and a lot of times some young players don't really take that to heart because they like you, they like dunks, and they like three-pointers, but I'm a free throw line guy myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, keeping it simple, but of course, that to me is the ultimate pressure. Because like you said, being selfish, it also, you can't blame anyone else. You miss those shots, that's all on you, and that's a lot of pressure, and especially too as the refs were determining the call, that's a lot of time that he had to wait for. I mean, it was just, again, my heart was pounding, but it's good to know. I mean, from coach, it's trickled down to the players. Free throws are important.
They are.
But I like momentum. I feel like as a player, I'd rather try to make the shot in the play while the momentum's all there. But I know, free throws, they are important. All right, so we know across the NCAA basketball landscape, there's a lot of teams where the makeup of the team is one guy. And of course, one team at the top, Duke, we see that in Zion. But there are a lot of talented players around him. But my question for you, as a coach, how much more important is the makeup of the team to be you have a lot of talent, maybe not the number one guy, but you have a lot of talent, or does it really help to have that number one go-to guy that's really going to draw all the stats every week in and week out?
Well, I think, that's a tough question, but I think you want some balance. I would like a balanced team, but, in tough situation or crunch time, the players realize that this guy is better in those situations. Oftentimes there's players that are, I tell them they can get you to the gate, and then the players that take you through the gate. And you don't want them all thinking that way, because then the execution of what you may do. But I do like having a player that the rest of the guys respect and they trust. He doesn't have the scoring doesn't have to be that much different. It's just the timing of, who's the guy that's going to go get us buckets, or who's the guy that's going to be a great defender, or whatever it may be. So I do like a go-to guy, but I think you've got to have balance there to have a successful team.
Yeah, spread the wealth. And as you said there, I think the key is execution. When you know who's good at doing what, you focus and stay with what you're good at, and you know who to give the ball to, who's good at this. It kind of works out that way.
Exactly.
And when we're talking about the go-to guy, if you are watching the NFL, which I know, your go-to guy in the NFL, Mr. Tom Brady, is going to be back in the Super Bowl. There's a lot of controversy this weekend with the NFC Championship and the AFC Championship, if you watched. So two hot takes. One, did the Saints get gypped there with that missed call at the end that should have been pass interference?
No question.
No question.
It should have been a pass interference.
Do you think they still would have won?
Yeah, they would have won.
Okay.
Yeah, they just got caught. The ref cost them the game.
Yeah, man. See, I always...
It's a shame that in those kind of plays, with that much at stake, that there's not a review and a possibility of
no doubt that should have been reviewed. Yeah.
Sometimes they review other plays because, even with us, they review plays when the referees make calls, things like that, or time. But then in a position of determining the outcome of the game, And I heard some of the commentators over the radio. I didn't see the play at the time. You know, they kept saying, you know, it's one of those bang bang kind of plays, and you know,
it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and I was saying, they were saying like that crew of officials, you know, they felt like would allow the players to determine the game. Well, they did determine it when, you know, it was pass interference. So, I mean, what are you talking about, determine it? I mean, he made a bad play and ref didn't call it. So that's unfortunate. Yeah. It's unfortunate. I mean, I'm obviously saddened for the Saints just from the standpoint of feeling as a coach, you've worked since last year, you know, at this time, preparing, trying to get to the Super Bowl, and then you lose it because they were playing a good game. It was a well-played game, but then you lose the game that way, so that's tough.
Yeah, I struggle with, you know, always Saints had the opportunity to get back, but I do understand that calls like that change the momentum, but you know, hey, things shake out sometimes the way maybe they should or shouldn't. I know for Saints fans that shouldn't have happened. For Rams fans that should have happened.
Yes.
Okay, so now switching gears, AFC Championship, Tom Brady. Did Mr. T. Brady deserve to make it to his third straight Super Bowl? And gosh, I can't even keep count of how many he's won already. Is it 5 or 6 or what is it?
Well, you know, I mean, I have people that watch the show, and I've always talked about how good Tom Brady is, and not just because, I mean, I think he has great leadership skills. I think when his team needs him, and we just talked about that, when his team needs him to perform, he may not be the best guy every play, the most talented guy.
Yeah, he wasn't the best every
play.
He
just figured it out, yeah. But the thing is and I say this, there's something about winning that when you're a winner, you figure it out, you know, so, you know, I'm excited. This is going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, I'm excited about the matchup, but controversy, that was a bummer there, and it was as clear as day, but Kansas City defender offsides when Brady would have had the pick. That probably would have sealed the win for the Chiefs. True. But as you said, when came back to ball in his hands, and then the other controversial thing, I hope the NFL one day changes the OT rules there, and I feel like you got to give both teams a shot on offense, because you're only the flip of a coin. You play all 3 factors or phases of the football game, and then you come to OT, and it's put one team or one side of the ball and the other side of the ball. I don't think that's fair. But
I don't agree with that either.
But Tom Brady does what he does, and he wins. Darn it. All right, Coach, so we're going to wrap it up with a question here. During the week that we honor Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., obviously a lot of, you know, thoughts come to mind with people, but for you, when you think of a man that did so much for this country and probably the world, what's the big thing that stands out when you think of Dr. Martin Luther King?
Oh, wow. National hero. There's a lot of things that come to mind. Probably the most what I take from all of the time that he was dealing with, just the service of others. You know, just if you're not serving others as a statement, I'm not sure I'm saying it right, then, you know. Also, you know, he talks about, you know, being great and that anyone could be great because anybody can serve. So service to our country and to others, and but just there's so much that we can say about him, about those times, and obviously we're a better country now than what we were. We're a better country now than what we were then. We still have a lot of work to do. Obviously, that we deal with that every day, but we have somewhat of a marker, or we have someone that I think really spoke over our nation, spoke to the hearts of our nation, and gave us so many words of wisdom that we could live by. And if we just live by them, I think we'll be a better country.
Agreed. We honor him and
Yes,
celebrate
we
him
do.
on one day, but
We do.
I think we should give him the week, the month, whatever. We've learned a lot from him,
Yes.
and I've learned a lot from you. So words of wisdom,
oh, wow.
they come from you as well, Coach. So,
Well, thank you.
so we appreciate everyone that kind of leads us, and we know Coach Barnes is leading his team and a lot of people.
Wow.
So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me on always.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week for Runners Recap.